funny about Bickus Dickus?
Well, it's a joke name, sir.
Bickus. Dickus.
Hi all, this is Skate, and this monstrosity is the Sturer Emil. Some may note I am in the garage on a PC. It is only the garage part I will be doing on the PC, and then back to my usual function of the tablet. I personally prefer the tablet controls. For all intensive purposes though, this is a bit prettier and a bit bigger on the screen. Now, it's been a while since I've done a guide, so I really wanted to do a do's and don'ts guide, but for this tank I want to give as much detail as I possibly can. It's certainly not a very well liked tank. I'm not actually a fan of this tank myself. I've done very well in the tank. I don't know how, but I did. So I thought if I share some of what I've learned about the tank, hopefully it may help others, because it's not a bad tank. There is no such thing as a bad tank in my opinion. But it's not a good tank. And it's a very, very unique tank to play. So the first thing you'll note, obviously from the intro, is it is basically a bigger Dickomax. It's a bigger Dicker, bigger Stickers, whatever you want to call it. Just to further show that, obviously this is the Sturer Emil, and this is the Dickomax. They both have the 105 gun. Obviously the 105 is the stock gun on the Sturer Emil, and on the Dickomax it's the only gun. The gun depression on both is staggering, but for some reason I really enjoy playing the Dickomax. I don't enjoy Bigger Dicker, or I didn't enjoy Bigger Dicker. Yet for some reason I played 167 battles in it. I unlocked the Borsig, which is the best part about this tank, is getting to the next tank, but yet I still kept playing it. I must have been subconsciously punishing myself for something, because I honestly can't say what it was, other than this tank is infuriating. But, as I said, it is a stepping stone to one of the best tier 8 tanks in my opinion, the Borsig. So you'll note I've switched back to the 10.5 gun, or the 105 gun on the Sturer Emil. This is the stock gun on said tank. It has a rate of fire of 7.5, penetration is 169, which is more than acceptable, and 310 alpha. So for a stock gun, it's a brilliant gun. Couple that with a 0.34 dispersion and 2.1 aiming time, it's very good. Ammunition loadout, I go 42, 12 and 6 on this gun. You'll never need 42 AP shells, and you'll never need 12 APCR shells. But being as it has the room to carry so many, I just stick the 12 in to be on the safe side. Now, this is where it gets interesting. When you change to the 12.8, you put 10 rounds of AP in, and I put 5 HE in. There is no APCR or no heat. There is no premium ammo on this at all. Why? Quite simply because you don't need it. It has 231 pen at tier 7 with the standard ammo. Basically, if you hit the target and you don't pen with that much pen at tier 7, RNGesus hates you, or it's a very badly aimed shot. I genuinely have no complaints at all about this gun. So as I said, it's a 12.8 Canonan 40 gun. 231 pen with an alpha damage of 460, but you can only carry those 15 rounds, so that's why I go 10 and then 5 on the HE. The HE shells do 600 damage, but they only have 65 pen, but they are very good and very reliable at just taking out low health targets. Now this gun does also have an aiming time of 1.9 seconds, which is brilliant, the aiming time is, and it's very beneficial because the more time you are out in the open in this tank, the more damage you are going to take. You will not bounce anything. So the 1.9 second aiming time, very beneficial, and 0.36 on the dispersion, which all of those figures combined make this a very reliable gun. And if you haven't got to the tank yet, oh, you need that reliable gun for this tank. You will also note I have left the garage, gone onto the tablet, and we are going into a game. As I said at the start, I do want to show you as much gameplay as possible on this, and cram in as much information as I possibly can. While we're waiting for the exciting stuff to happen in this battle, I can confirm that I use binos, camo net, and a rammer. They are bare essential in my opinion. You want to play this tank as a second, third line tank. You do want to be sitting still and doing as much damage as you can from cover and from afar. One thing I've heard and read countless times is you can't carry in this tank. That's a lie. You can carry in any tank. The difference is how to. Now, my personal opinion is if you want to carry in this tank, you need to do as much damage as you can while your squidgy teammates take up all the damage for you. A lot of people have this idea that carrying is basically when all your team die, you go in and finishing off all the low health enemies. That's not carrying in my opinion. Doing as much damage as you can throughout the battle, that's carrying. If you have to do the damage throughout and then kill them all at the end, that's carrying hard. So with that in mind, my personal opinion would be to get yourself at a high position at the back of the map. If you can use the gun depression, bonus. If not, you need to be at long range, get yourself in a Overwatch position and get firing. As you can see, that first shot on the IS-3 Defender, the aiming time is phenomenally good. Now I've chosen this spot in this tank because I can help on the right hand side and I can also help on the left. I would like to put myself in a position to take full advantage of the gun depression, but on this circumstance this is the best place in my opinion to help both, and obviously there's nowhere right by here I can use the gun depression. So you'll notice I completely dunked that shot on the 87, either that or RNGs has hated me in this circumstance. And my poor teammate over there has taken it from all angles, so I'm going to try get some damage in while I can. Because those reds are going to be coming my way. And that really is the key thing in this tank, is doing as much damage as you can while you can. Obviously that KV-4 there has disappeared. I didn't hit the IS-3 Defender, so I did hit the KV-4. We will see what damage we did to him when he comes back on screen. In the interim, I do try and line up a shot on the IS-3 Defender, and as he pulls forward, I just skim off the back of his turret. Now, the rate of fire doesn't irritate me on this tank. It's the worry constantly of how many shells I've got left. Trying my hardest to make every single shot count. Now, you'll see there from where I was trying to turn to the T-43, the gun arc on this is... oh, it's shocking. It's so bad. And I do genuinely mean it's infuriating when your camo nets are up and you have to turn ever so slightly and the camo net drops off. So the gun arc is pitiful. Strangely enough though, it has a very good traverse speed. The traverse speed is 34 degrees. Now you're probably sitting there thinking, that's not a really good traverse speed. But when you think it only has 310 brake horsepower and a top speed of 25 kilometers, it's awful. So the speed on this thing is really, really bad. It's sluggish as hell, but it turns in a circle very quickly. Obviously you'll notice then I did the HE shot on the side of the SP1C, and now I'm about to get rushed by a T28. Oh, T28 prototype actually. I'm frantically trying to find a position here I could have used my gun depression to my advantage. There isn't really any circumstance here where I can get him and he can't get me. Now watching this back in hindsight, I had his side there. I should have put a HE round into that side plate. It's only 50 mil of armour he had there. I would have done more damage, and then when I made this shot, I would have killed him. Now you'll see I was also aiming for the track wheel then as well. If he didn't have a repair kit, that would have allowed me some extra time to either reload or get away. Now obviously a lot of the time people do carry a repair kit, but it could be one of those circumstances where it's already been used, or they're a numpty and don't carry a repair kit. So based on that, it is always worth carrying a repair kit in my opinion. And always worth carrying, or shooting, sorry, the track wheel. Now I am dead here, obviously, and only the T28 prototype is left, so I wanted to put this game in because I did good damage. It's good damage in this tank, in this game. And this is exactly what my frustration is with this tank. It doesn't feel exciting. The damage when you do it doesn't feel too, oh, this is a good game. Now the last replay of this actual video, that's probably one of the only few games where I've gone, wow, this is a fun one, or this is intense. Most other games I sat there going, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. As soon as anything with reasonable speed managed to get close to me. So as I said at the start, this tank is all about long range. And you need to do as much damage as you can from as far away as you can. And more importantly, as early in the game as you can. You need to be doing as much as you can in this tank right from the outset. You're not waiting for people to come into view. You need to either be in a position to get as much damage in as you can, or try and relocate into one. As soon as you're down on tanks, you're not going to be mobile enough to help. That's my personal experience anyway. Now, when I say get yourself in a good position to help out, as a tank destroyer, your logic would be sit right at the very back of the map, shoot, fire. You can't always do this in this tank. Now, the reason, and it's a key thing, is it has appalling gun elevation. I don't know the exact figure, but it's really, really bad. The gun depression, as I've said a few times, is phenomenally good. Now, this game you're about to watch is a mastery game. It's not a high damage in my opinion, or, well, it's high damage, it's not what you'd expect to be mastery material, so to speak, though. Well, I say that, but, well, this is a prime example of what I mean by it doesn't feel, or the usual games in this doesn't feel super exciting. You can leave a game going, or thinking, this is going to be a mastery, it's been a blinding game. This was a game where I went, oh, this is a mastery, because it didn't feel intense and exciting. Now, usually the mastery game is last, and I always put the mastery game last. Not on this occasion, because the last game I had here actually was a loss, but it felt more exciting than this one. I also think it gives a perfect indication on how to use this tank. Now, here is a prime example of what I was explaining earlier about the gun depression. Look at that gun depression there. It's like a Hoover. Now, the reason you want to use this gun depression to much of the extent as you can is quite simply because it exposes as little as the tank as possible and allows you to get back into cover as quick as possible. Now, I'm just going to intrude that game quickly to flick back to the garage to show you something. I say to use the gun depression to its full extent as much as possible to hide the tank. Everything you see above the red line at the moment is still viewable when you are using the tank to its maximum gun depression. That armour has an epic 50 mil of armour. In other words, it's not armour, it's a wind deflector. Now, I know that seems like such a glaringly obvious point or thing to point out, but even when it's angled, it's not going to cover you or protect you. But if you can use that full gun depression, so you only have that bit showing, at a long range, that is your best chance to survive as long as you can. Obviously in this game, I'm not really doing that. I'm just trying to take clutch shots over here. Obviously as many tanks as I can. You'll see the shots as well. The gun is very reliable. There was only a little bit of that T-44 showing earlier, and that's Tiger. I didn't really aim to hit him. It's a really good gun. It's just sadly on a really crappy tank, which is why the tank is okay in the long run, because you have an epic gun attached to a bad tank. Actually, sorry, as I said, there's no such thing as a bad tank. It's a very hard tank to play. If it wasn't for that gun being as good as it is, it would be a staggeringly appalling tank. Have you noticed how I've spent the entire video trying to word this as delicately as I could to try and describe how it's not a bad tank, when in fact, it's just a frustrating tank. There's not really too much in this tank in regards to diversity. You have to play it as long as you can, or as long range as you can, sorry, and trying to use your gun depression as much as you can. Once you're out in the open, if you're playing head-to-head with something, you probably won't win. Especially if it's fast and it can get behind you. And if it can get behind you, you only got 30 mil on the sides and rear. That's guaranteed pen. So obviously in this game, there is only one tank left, and that is the IS. You can see I am now running to my full potential, top speed to try and get to the tank. I do manage to get to it, and I do manage to get the kill on it. But you can see what I mean, or hopefully you can see what I mean by it didn't really feel like an inspiring, very intense battle to watch or play. But yet, that was the mastery on that tank. I don't think, personally, the mastery is very high on this tank. And I think that's because it's quite disliked. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying 3,300 damage isn't good. I'm actually very chuffed with that. I think it's a very respectable figure. But I still don't think it was very inspiring or mastery worthy. Am I making sense here? You can't reply, I don't know why I'm asking. Hopefully it makes sense what I'm trying to get at. It doesn't feel amazing when you play this. I didn't feel I did that much of a carry in that game to deserve that mastery, basically. Now this next game, damn it, I deserved a mastery for that one. I didn't get it though, because it was a defeat. But I do want to show you this game, because as I said, it was a very good game in my opinion, and it is a perfect example of where this tank plays best. Now you'll see I am in a platoon with my other half. She is in her SU-100. Now she didn't have a bad game. She's actually the only other person to do over 1,000 damage. Everybody else in this game on my team sadly did less than 1,000. Now sadly, as I've already said numerous times in this already, this is a loss, but it is a game where I'm playing a bit more aggressively, but in my opinion in the perfect way to use the gun depression on this tank in the best way I possibly can. So at this point in time I'm trying to get myself up to the ridge right in front of me, where I can take some long range shots across the map to see what I can hit and see basically. I am in a dead slow tank, yet we are the first up here. So we do some of the spotting in this one as well. Now if I stop here, my camo nets will come up and so will my binos, which give me a very good chance of seeing and shooting what comes around here. Once I've shot in this circumstance, the logic or the idea originally would be to pull straight back to the right. That way I can pull straight back under cover. Now I haven't been spotted here, which is great. I don't actually know what the camo rating and figures are like on this tank. They're not bad though. Now obviously I have been spotted now because I've been shot at, and thankfully the SU-152 has missed me. It wasn't the 152 that spotted me though, it was the Comet on my left. Now as you can see, my other half has already taken several shots sadly, and she is pretty much down to very low health. That's when I turn to try and help and the Tiger appears. So take a quick shot, panic, and go backwards as quick as I can. Now, where I am here, I can't get shot. So if I pull up using the gun depression, I take a quick shot and I can pull straight back into cover again. So I'm still out visible. Now at this point in time I would be in cover from my right hand side. I'll see the other half is the first one on my team to go. Sadly she gets shot from her side by the Comet while trying to hide from these guys in front of her. I can see the Tiger has dunked his shot, so it gives me the opportunity to go shoot him, but the Flak Panzer comes out and takes the shot instead, so I'm not complaining. I still get to do some damage. And I don't know what shot me then. I'm going to assume it's the Flak Panzer as I was trying to get back into cover. What you will also notice then was the VK was popping off down the hill, and he has just appeared right next to me. Obviously I've taken a shot trying to turn. Obviously I turned a bit too early. I left myself slightly out in the open. So I'm going to hide myself in those rocks there and come out and take a shot at the VK. You can see the angle I'm at here. I can't get shot by the Tiger or the Flak Panzer. Now I switched to the HE because I don't need to wait for the shot to aim in. I can just shoot at his face and kill him, which is why I carry the HE in this thing. So we're now 4-4. Obviously my priority is I want to get rid of one of the attacking flanks. Obviously he has shot, he's got me again, and I bounce off his mantlet. Now you'll see he's coming straight back out, and also the... is it the Flak Panther? No, it's a J Panther who's actually flanking around there now. Which is why I am backing right off. There's a more aggressive hill by here, which I can use more to my advantage, using my gun depression. While I'm doing that though, the J Panther tries to get down the hill to me, kind of messes it up, which means someone else shot him at the same time I did, which obviously results in a kill for us. While doing so though, the enemy SU-152 has killed our Comet. So on this right flank we just have this Tiger left, and I am one shot to him. He is now one shot for me, and I think his plan here is to kill me before he dies, because obviously he got shot twice then. But as he came over the ridge I was ready aimed, and he was not, because he was the one moving. So they have an IS left and the SU-152 who is on 2 kills, and we have me and a T-25, or a T-25-2. At this point in the time, myself and the T-25-2 are both one-shots and very low health. The SU-152 is a one-shot for us, but the IS is full health. Which is why, again, I am backing right off. If I can use my gun depression to my advantage, I have some chance here. Until this guy pops up. So I'll take my shot and I'll try and get behind cover, and... he bounced. I don't know how, and I don't know what he hit, but he bounced off me. That was shockingly lucky. I'm not even going to say it's down to me angling or anything like that. That was pure luck. Now you'll notice I am reversing back perfectly in line with that tank there. And that shot there is a perfect example, in my opinion, of using the gun depression and the accuracy of this gun. That was straight into the commander's cupola. Now, you'll also note at this point in time, I am going to shoot AP into the side of his turret. But, look at my ammo loadout. I just used my last AP, which leaves me with just 2 HE. I have fired every other shot I have in this tank. And this is the only time this tank can become a struggle to carry in. If you miss your shots, and you need to carry, you're going to run out of ammo first. So basically, this is a scenario where the SU's looking for me, and I'm looking for the SU. He gets his shot off first. Yeah. I was actually going to write good game there, but obviously battle finished. I couldn't. Most frustrating game for me, but also the most intense game I have had in this tank. It was a loss, but I did 4,000 damage, and I did make a tidy profit, even on a loss, so that would have been quite a respectable figure if that was a win. So hats off to that SU-152. I think he deserves the win. He didn't have a bad game by any means. It was just frustrating for me, obviously. But still, the reason I'm putting this game in is because it was the most exciting one for me. And also, as I mentioned, it is a good example of how to play the tank with the gun depression. Now, although I'm not a huge fan of this tank, as I've already explained probably several times by now, I did do well in it, and I do mean I did well. I don't know why though, and I don't know how. So if you are really struggling and you are watching this video, I hope some of the things you have seen in this video, you can take some of it and find it useful. Now what I want to show you quickly before the video ends is my second most favourite part about owning this tank. That would be selling it. As you can see from that then though, I have 101 free experience in this tank, and I have the Borsig already researched. I guess you could say I'm a glutton for punishment based on that. Either way, I genuinely hope you have enjoyed the video and you pull some of the information out of my ramblings which is useful for you. I can't imagine many people are going to be keeping this tank after researching and unlocking the Borsig. So I imagine most people who have watched or will watch this video will just be passing through to basically try and do what they can to tolerate the grind through the Sturer Emil for the very, very good Rheinmetall Borsig. But that is it for this video. I genuinely hope you have enjoyed it. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Obviously I put up as many guides as I can, and we run competitions, etc, etc on the channel. There are fun things going on, so stick around. Obviously if you are a subscriber, thank you for subscribing guys. I'll catch you in the next video.